In this series, we're going to learn about EditorConfig files and how to use them. Now, if you want to maintain consistency throughout a project, specific files, or across all developers on your team, then using an EditorConfig file with your text editor can help you do this. Now, I already have the EditorConfig extension or plugin installed for Sublime. We'll go ahead and talk about this later because it will support other text editors as well. So if you're using another text editor or IDE, don't worry. So you can see here I've got a EditorConfig file inside of my root directory. Don't worry if you don't know what this means. We'll cover each of these properties and we'll talk about these later. I'm going to go ahead and open up global.css as an example. This is inside the CSS directory under this main directory. So if I were to create a class, for example, the first thing that's actually happened here, probably without you even realizing, is that it's indented here automatically by 2 spaces because I defined that in my EditorConfig file. When I go ahead and type my property name and I hit save, you can see it's automatically inserted a final new line. So that's another property that's taken place here. Also, if a developer or anything inserts additional white space, I've just done a couple of spaces here. You can see that my cursor's just here. When I save, that will automatically remove that trailing white space. And I've also defined these files, or all of my files, as UTF-8. So there are various properties that you can actually use to enforce consistency without all of the files in your project. And as long as you've got your EditorConfig file with you and your text editor supports EditorConfig and you have everything installed as a plugin, it will just go ahead and take these properties and apply them. Now, as you can see, if we just head over to EditorConfig, it's supported by a wide range of popular editors, so you shouldn't find it hard to integrate this with what you're using. Now, I'm using Sublime, so we're going to start fresh and install EditorConfig with Sublime's package manager. So now Sublime for me is completely free of Sublime package manager and also of EditorConfig. So I'm starting as you would if you didn't have anything like this installed. So on this website here, the package control website, we can install this and there's instructions here to go ahead and install it. I'm going to copy this Python code and I'm going to paste it into the Sublime terminal. And I've done this by hitting Control and backtick. So if I paste this in here, this will install Sublime Package Manager. Once this is done, we can access the package manager or package control from the console. This will bring up this little box here. What we can then do is choose to install a package, and this will give us a list of the available packages. In this case, I want to install EditorConfig, so I hit enter here. That will install that. At the bottom you can see the status, and then that's done. So now EditorConfig is installed, and as long as I have an EditorConfig file with the desired properties, I can go ahead and apply these to the files that I'm working with. So in the next part, we'll look at actually creating this EditorConfig file, and we'll introduce some properties and we'll talk about what they do.